You are listening or watching a conversation with Erin, with me, Erin. Hi, welcome back. If you're new here, hello. Subscribe and follow and do all of that stuff while you're here. Why not? Today, we're going to be talking about my soft girl era, your soft girl era, our collective soft girl era. The last kind of 2 years, I've been slowly dipping my toes into the water of being a soft girl. But I feel like I have Tom Daly'd into the world of soft girl the last month. And I'm passionate about this era of my life. The last kind of 2 years, I've been slowly dipping my toes into the water of being a soft girl. But I feel like I have Tom Daly'd into the world of soft girl. I love it. I've never been happier, and I want you to be as happy as I am. So, today we're going to be talking about what is the soft girl era. Hello. What's wrong? If you're not watching, you wouldn't have just seen my dog walking around behind me. He's stolen my seat. How I've changed my routine to be soft girl. How you can change your routine to become a soft girl. Different variations of being a soft girl, the hardships of being a soft girl, because however beautiful the soft girl lifestyle is, there are hardships. Some days are tougher than others. And my advice to any future soft girls that are joining the club, hi. Obviously, the whole soft girl era thing, it's kind of a trend. It started, I noticed it peaking in with the whole Pilates princess. I do think there's been a general consensus of the whole of society kind of putting the middle finger up to both the patriarchy but also the pressures of working until you die, the 9-to-5 style living, the intensity of the corporate world. I do think there has been kind of a shift in my generation anyway of what we want from our lives, and I think this all encompasses the soft girl era. And I also think the Barbie movie, I love bringing it up, had a lot to do with it as well, because I think, for me anyway, it highlighted my repulsivity. Not my repulsivity, that's not a word. The Barbie movie to me highlighted how I'd pushed away femininity through my teenage years, because that's what I thought boys preferred and it's what I thought was expected of me, and that actually being feminine and liking pretty things and being soft and emotional wasn't actually a good thing, even though it is a good thing, and it's a good thing if you don't like any of those things. Like, both are good, and I had to do a lot of inner work to kind of work on that. But I think the Barbie movie to me highlighted how much I'd pushed away all of those things because I thought that it's not what was expected of me as a woman. So firstly, what is the soft girl era? If you search on TikTok, it will look very romantic, very pretty, almost a bit similar to the clean girl aesthetic, but just a little bit more gentler. It's a gentle way of living, and you don't have to be a girl, you don't have to identify as a woman to be a soft girl. You could be a soft guy. You could be a soft them, a soft person. That's all absolutely fine. For me, what the soft girl era represents is prioritising myself and prioritising yourself. It's about putting yourself first, not in a selfish way, because we've been made to think that if we put ourselves first, we're being selfish or gross and it's a bad thing. It's not. It's actually really important, and you get the best out of other people when they are prioritizing themselves. You get the best out of yourself when you are prioritizing yourself. It can look different for everyone and will look different for everyone. This has just been the main things that I have found from both myself and also research that I've done. I also think there is a consensus, like I mentioned earlier, of rejecting the patriarchy with the soft girl era. I think with the patriarchy and with feminism, there was a push for women to work as hard, and I put air quotes up then because women have to work harder to achieve the same things as men, but women obviously have a right to achieve the same things as men. But obviously we've had to push harder and work harder, and still have to push harder and work harder. So it's definitely harder for a woman to achieve the things that men achieve, and that causes problems in of itself with burnout and things like that. But anyway, I do think that women then believed that their worth was proving themselves against men for some part, not for the whole part obviously, but I do think from what I've seen of the people around me, there's this sense of I need to work as hard or harder than men, because obviously I want to achieve the best that I can achieve, and I want to work as hard as I can. And then I think because of that push for women to be in high powered positions, amazing, women to be doctors, amazing, women to be in the same positions that men were ruling for so long, there was a shift in how society viewed women that stayed at home to look after the children, and women that maybe didn't have those same motivations. I know throughout my upbringing, because my mum was one of the women who worked 12-hour days, longer than, worked all hours under the sun, still does, and took her 20 years to reach a position of power when a man would have done it in like a third of the time. Because my mum is a corporate girlie, she's a boss bitch, she's a queen, I thought that that was the norm. Not that I thought that was the norm. There was this view of when I was growing up, and not that anybody instilled in me, that mums and stuff that stayed at home didn't work as hard. Now that's not true, and there's nothing wrong with having aspirations to stay at home. But I struggled to understand until more recent years, why would a woman not want to do that? Why would a woman not want to, now they can, work 12 hours a day, all hours under the sun, not prioritise themselves, not prioritise their family, prioritise work, live, breathe, eat, work? I didn't understand why a woman wouldn't want to do that, because to me, that was the norm. Now, I'm older, I've seen all areas of society, I've had conversations with my parents, I've looked at how difficult it's been for my mum, I've had more of an eye-opening experience with it all. I've realised that actually staying at home, looking after children and doing all of that, it's as hard, it's as difficult, it's just a different sort of difficult, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, I think society has made us view that as a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing. So I think it's part of that, because I have noticed there's a trend, well, I've seen from social media anyway, in more women coming out and being open that they want to stay at home with their children for longer. And unfortunately my mum couldn't, just because financially we weren't in a position to, like, she had to go back to work when I was a few months old, and maybe it'd look different if we were in a different financial position, but my mum is just one of those people. But it doesn't mean that that's the right way to be. We have fought to have opportunities and to have choices as women, and that's the important thing. It's the opportunity of choice, not that we have to go out and work 12 hours a day because the suffragettes gave us the right to. We have the right to choose what we want, you know? It's about accepting and asking for help. This is something that I found really difficult, but living a softer life is not suffering in silence. It's not pushing yourself to the brink of burning out and breaking point. It's actually acknowledging when you're struggling and asking for help, asking for assistance, being open to help. They're all things I think as women we struggle with. I find that I struggle to, I think as people as well, we struggle to ask for help. I think especially women, it's kind of that whole thing of like, I don't know, because I think men have it as well. I just think there's a societal pressure to just, you're expected to know, you're expected to be able to cope, to be able to do whatever it is, whether it's with work, whether it's with family, whether it's with lifestyle, whether it's with a task. We're just expected to automatically know things, and we expect that of ourselves as well. And part of releasing the reins and taking a little more comfort in living slower and being kinder to yourself is actually acknowledging that you're not going to know everything, you are going to need help, and that is okay. Similar to what I've said earlier with like the societal changes of like rejecting the 9 to 5, I also think that there's been a shift I have noticed of women retaking their femininity. There was a big rejection of femininity, I think, from after like, mine happened from the ages of 14, so that would have been 2016 until 2021, so that I would have been 19. So from 14 to 19, I completely rejected anything feminine. Now, not completely, I still wore makeup, I'd still like get dressed up for a night out, but I would never admit to you that I liked pink. I would never admit to you that like I was a romantic. I would speak about boys, but not in like a going on dates and I'm gonna get wined and dined and I want to be treated like a princess ever. When I was a child, I've never ever been a really, really girly girl, ever. Like, I would choose The Lion King over Cinderella. I would choose collecting woodlouse in the garden and snails in the garden over anything else, really. It was my favourite thing to do. But I also did like dollies and playing mum and playing house and doing my mum's makeup, and I loved all of those things as well. So I've always been I'm a bit of a Hannah Montana. Half of me is a tomboy and half of me is a girly girl. You're literally sat on my back. What are you doing? Oh my god. Yeah, so I've always liked really girly things, but I've also liked stereotypically non-girly things too. But when I think it's when Zoella was really, really big, so like 2013 and 2014, I was so girly because I was obsessed with Zoella and all she would talk about was makeup and all of those things, and I was very like girly. I would wear really pretty dresses and I would spend hours getting myself ready before leaving the house, and I had a birthday party having afternoon tea with all of my friends when I was 13. Like, I was so hyper feminine, and then I started to get laughed at by boys, and because of this I thought the only way I'm gonna get, and obviously I liked boys, I wanted boys to like me, I didn't want them to be laughing at me. And I thought the only way to get those attention is if I go the other way and I stop being emotional and I stop being really, really girly. So I started to, I'd only wear jeans. I would never ever wear anything but jeans. And I was never a tomboy, but I was never feminine. You wouldn't describe me as feminine. And I'd wear dresses if we were at a party, but it would be like dresses that I think boys would like, not that I would necessarily want to wear. And I completely rejected femininity. I pretended like I didn't really like anything stereotypically girly because I thought that made me more attractive to the male gaze. And obviously I was only young, but that carried on like kind of subconsciously when I think about it until more recently, when I've realised actually I am emotional and I like girly things, very stereotypically girly things, but there's also lots of stereotypically girly things that I don't really like, and that's okay, but I'm not scared of that anymore, whereas I found that I was, and I was kind of rejecting that. And I think the soft girl lifestyle embodies femininity. It is about leaning into your femininity and leaning into that more stereotypical, slower, kinder, gentler, like all feminine soft things that you can think of is kind of what the soft girl lifestyle is ish. I'm being very general here, we'll get into the specifics in a minute. In more recent years, when I've been slowly learning about this soft girl lifestyle, without even realising that's what I was doing, I've really refound my femininity, and I'm learning how to embody that, and I'm still learning about my femininity, but it's something that I do think, especially through teenagers, for girls, but for a lot of our life we're told that it's gross, or it's too girly, or it's silly, or all of these negative words that we use to describe girly things. And it's actually like, there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but we're brought up to be made to feel like they're all wrong and they're all silly. And being silly, nobody wants to be silly. Silly is unserious, it's a bit pathetic, it's funny, it's not, you don't think of a grown woman, and when a grown woman doesn't want to be seen as silly. So if we associate femininity with silliness, which I definitely did, I will then associate femininity, if I'm an adult, as being I'm a feminine woman and that's silly. When no, I can still be as serious as anybody else but still be feminine. And I'm hoping we're making progress to unlearn that femininity is a bad thing. Like, I love pink again. It's not like one of my favourite colours ever. I don't really wear it, but I'm okay with like looking at pink things and going, oh my god, it's pink. Like, I'm okay with being very, very overtly feminine and squealing when I see a puppy, or like, and I know that's so extreme. Like, I'm being so stereotypical because I'm trying to get the point across that it's okay to be very, very overtly feminine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and kind of need to lean into it a bit. So now we've spoke a little bit about what the soft girl life is, let's go through some small changes that you can make to your life to lean into this soft girl lifestyle. I think it's very important to say that these are all things that I've found have worked for me, but they're not going to work for everyone. This is going to look different for everyone because everyone is going to need different things in their life. Everyone's routine looks different, but also what makes you feel calm and comfortable and soft and relaxed and protected and safe is going to look different for who, depending on the person. So I've split this into two different sections. So we've got self-care and we've got lifestyle, because I think self-care is a whole thing in itself. Self-care is something that I completely rejected. I would tell myself I don't have time for that because, in my opinion at the time, because I wasn't prioritising myself, it didn't matter. There were other things that mattered more. And that's when I was kind of like, you need to be doing lots and lots of work. You need to be constantly doing something. You don't have time for yourself. Like, you don't matter. And that is the complete opposite to what we're trying to achieve now. We're trying to say that we are a priority. We need to prioritise ourselves. We need to make sure that we're happy and safe in order to live this lifestyle that is gonna put us in the best stead to be the best person we can be. Now, you can still be a soft girl and a boss bitch. In my opinion, you can be both. It's just making sure your foundations are right to be able to achieve them both. So for self-care, I've now constructed a whole skincare routine. I do not miss it. I did not have a skincare routine before, and I was very lucky. I had naturally quite okay skin, and I really didn't need to do anything. And my skin got bad when I got poorly this year, well, last year now, because I wasn't being able to eat the right nutrients for my body, and my body was fighting itself hard. So my skin for some reason got bad, probably because my body was not well. So that's what made me start doing a skincare routine. However, I noticed The more I looked after my skin, the better I felt. It was nice to wake up in the morning and have that routine, and before bed every single night I did the same routine. Firstly, the structure was nice, but I also liked the ritual of like putting on the like fluffy headband and my fluffy wristbands to like stop water getting everywhere. I like the ritual of researching the skincare, putting the skincare on my skin, really like giving myself time to properly massage all the products in, and I loved that ritual, and it made me feel just nice. And it was nice to feel nice first thing in the morning and last thing at night. So I decided that I wasn't ever going to not do my skincare again, and for over a month now I haven't missed a day, which is wild for somebody who would go weeks without washing their face. My hair routine, I make sure I'm putting oils in my hair, I'm looking after myself, I'm doing my hair care routine because I've got curly hair, it takes a lot, and I'm making sure that every day I'm doing something to support how my hair looks, so it doesn't, because otherwise it would just look like a bird's nest on top of my head. It would look insane. And even that, I can tell that my hair's healthier, it's thicker, it feels nicer, I feel nicer because my hair's nicer. Every single day I'm doing some sort of makeup, so even if that is just brushing my eyebrows and my eyelashes. Today, obviously, I've got nearly a full face on because I'm filming. But if I wasn't filming, I would still make sure that I sit down, I put my SPF on, I brush my eyebrows, I brush my eyelashes, and that makes me feel a little bit nicer. I'm putting on lip balm throughout the day. I'm putting cuticle oil on. I'm getting dressed and feeling like I've put an outfit together, even if it's a tracksuit. Dyeing my eyebrows. I'm weekly dyeing my eyebrows now because I know that's something that makes me feel good about myself. All of those little things have just kind of become part of my routine now, and they're now subconscious things I do every day, but they are making me feel good. They're making me feel more put together, and they're making me feel more feminine. And I'm not wearing, like today I'm in a tracksuit, I don't necessarily look feminine. This is the most makeup I normally wear. It's not, I sound like such a pick-me now. It's not like I'm wearing really heavy makeup, like I'm going out clubbing, like I'm wearing light makeup. But just by doing those small little things, they're making me feel more feminine. And that's okay, because femininity will look different to everyone. You don't need to be in a ball gown with false lashes and fake tan to be feminine. You can still be feminine in a tracksuit. You can be feminine without makeup on. It's how you feel inside you. Femininity is a feeling. Another really key thing is how I'm moving my body and how you should be moving your body. In 2024, I want to see the abandonment of HIIT workouts. The odd HIIT here and there is fine, but every day putting that strain on your body, spiking your cortisol, ruining your hormones, it's not for the girls. I'm gonna get hate for that. For me anyway, I have PCOS, so high intensity workouts are not necessarily good for my body. Now, you might love a HIIT workout, don't get me wrong, I love a HIIT workout, but was it making me feel good? No. And it might be making you feel good, and it might be absolutely perfectly fine for your body, then keep doing it. Amazing. It wasn't making me feel good, and it wasn't good for my body. It was hurting my joints. I haven't had a period for 3 years. It was damaging my body. But instead, I'm doing low impact workouts. I'm doing weight training. I'm doing Pilates. I'm doing yoga. And I'm listening to my body as and when, depending on how it feels that day, as to what workout I do and whether I work out. I'm going for long walks. Every single day I'm getting out in fresh air, walking. And because I think working out is instrumental for mental health and for physical health. We can't deny that. But how we work out is so important to whether exercise has a positive or negative impact to our physical and mental health. I've been listening to affirmations every morning. I've been meditating every morning. And this makes me feel so positive for the day and helps me to feel so calm and collected. I'm not going on my phone straight away in the morning looking at what other people are doing, comparing myself, critiquing myself. I am loving myself. I was so embarrassed to love myself. I thought loving myself made me self-obsessed. I thought it made me stuck up. I thought only pretty girls got to love themselves, and even when they announced that they loved themselves, they were up themselves and they were a bitch. Actually, loving yourself is the most beautiful thing in the world, and by doing things to help you to love yourself, that's so powerful and so amazing. And that's what I've been doing. I'm way on the road to loving myself. And there's nothing stuck up about that. Loving myself isn't about how I look. It's about how I feel. And that is something that I've come to realise. And I've come to realise that it's so powerful and it's so amazing. And actually, women who love themselves are so powerful and so amazing. And they're not to be like critiqued, like, because I think there is this thing of like, if there's a powerful woman who loves herself, like, she's gross. Like, I think society loves to put women against women. I've been making sure I'm drinking my 2 litres of water a day. I'm eating healthy, but I'm eating enough. I'm fueling my body, which is the most important thing that we all need to be doing. I've been lighting candles. Like, that sounds insane, but I stopped lighting candles because I thought, like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? But there's nothing nicer than lighting a candle. It's so nice. And it shouldn't be saved just for self-care evenings or the best days or the best nights. Just light a candle whenever. Do that for yourself. Love yourself in that way. So all of the self-care stuff is working towards loving myself and prioritizing myself and feeling good about myself and allowing myself to feel good about myself and giving myself that gift. For so long I thought it was wrong to really care about yourself or weird to be nice to yourself, and it's not. There's something really powerful in that. I grew up watching media that made it look like women should be speaking bad about themselves or women shouldn't like themselves, and if you did like yourselves it was wrong, and you should be stood in front of the mirror like squeezing your stomach fat and like picking apart every single little thing. You should be picking apart other women too, and that isn't right. It's not what we should be doing. We should be working on giving ourselves gifts of loving ourselves. We only get one ass. We only get one body. We only get one personality, depending on who you are. You only get one chance at this life to really, really love yourself and to love other people and to allow other people to love you and to help support other people in loving themselves. So why aren't we doing that? For me, that's what the soft girl lifestyle is about. It's about prioritizing myself and loving myself. And if somebody wants to join that journey and they are on the same wavelength as me, working towards the same things I'm working towards, let's join it together and let's work together. And let's motivate each other to do that. And let's love each other. I've found that spending time in nature, and I don't mean just like on my walks, I mean really when I'm in nature, being present, looking around me, listening, smelling, touching, really consuming the nature that I'm surrounded by is just, it's one of the best things that you can do. I don't know why, but it makes me feel really connected to Mother Earth and to other people and to nature. I just find it really connects me and grounds me and forces me to be present. You'll find a lot of this lifestyle stuff is about being present, and it's about grounding yourself, and there's no better place to do that than with Earth. And the best place to do that with Earth is on a walk in nature. Connect to nature. It doesn't even have to be in a walk. Stand in your garden, barefoot in the grass. Touch a plant. Have house plants. No dating apps. We don't have dating apps. I find this a difficult one because I'm somebody who would love a relationship, and I don't know how I'm supposed to meet somebody if it's not on a dating app. But I don't find dating apps useful. I don't think they support you in meeting other people for the most part. I know there's the odd success story. I think that they promote this need to have validation from men, and this need to validate each other, and most of the time you don't have meaningful conversations, and it just doesn't really serve the life that I want to be living. If anything, for me, dating apps are a complete waste of time. I don't know how I'm going to meet somebody, but I feel like if that happens, it will happen. But by me trying to chase it on a dating app when actually it's not the sort of vibe I want, there's no point. Like, there's literally no point in me having them. And I think that if you also find that most of the time you're having the same conversation over and over again, or somebody's been rude to you on there, or the conversations just become very sexual very quickly and it's not nice, I find sometimes it's quite degrading. Or you're on there just to seek male validation, which is what I was doing. Get off of them. You don't need them. You don't need that. Learn to be by yourself and love yourself before we get caught up in allowing someone else into our lives. And if you're chasing that, why are you chasing that? Why do you feel the need to have that so much that you're prepared to waste time, precious time, that you could be doing things that benefit you so much more, seeking out that male validation? Trust me, it's a hard question to answer. It's not going to be easy, but answering it helps. So the next one's quite a big one. It's having a small circle. So I'm quite lucky in the fact that my circle is small. But this has been something that I've been chipping away at since I was 18. So for about 3 or 4 years, I've been chipping it away, making my circle smaller. So it's easy for me to sit here and say, make your circle small. If you have a huge circle and you know you need to make that smaller, it's not easy to do. I've been there. It's difficult and it's hard, but it's so important when you're transitioning to this lifestyle, and also to prioritising yourself, that you surround yourself with people that will help you support that. There's no point you doing all these things to make yourself feel good to then be surrounded by people that make you feel bad about yourself. There's no point in that. There's no point in working on loving yourself and being positive about yourself to then be surrounded by a group of girls that the first thing you do when you're together is critique yourselves to each other. Because I've been in friendships when that's what's happened. We bond by how much we dislike ourselves. That's not a healthy, supportive relationship that you need to be in to be loving yourself. By being surrounded by people that are on the same wavelength as you and that are working towards similar goals, you can support each other. Like, there's nothing worse than being in a large friendship group when you're all competing against each other, you're all jealous of each other, you're all being horrible to each other, there's constantly snide comments being made about each other, you're all sad, and you all actually just make each other feel worse about yourselves. And if you're really honest, there's always one person in the group that's being left out or that isn't liked, or it's just not a nice environment to be in. It's not a happy environment. You don't have to be in that. You don't. Like I said, it's not easy chipping away. Like, oh my God, there were so many blow-ups, so many arguments before I completely like isolated myself. And sometimes you do just have to shut yourself off completely. Other times you have to say, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to distance myself. You know how to do that's best for you. I can't advise you on how to distance yourself from your friends, but Your friends aren't people who make you feel bad about yourself or allow you to feel bad about yourself. Your friends make you feel good, they make you feel positive, they uplift you, they motivate you, they support you, they don't make you feel jealous, they don't try to compete against you. That's friendship. Now evaluate the people you've got in your life. Do they do that? If they don't do that, they don't serve you. They don't serve their purpose, and you probably don't serve them. And I wouldn't want to be in someone's life that I don't serve. So the next one it's a controversial one because in the UK we have such a large drinking culture. However, I do think from statistics I've seen, there's more sobriety in people in their 20s now than ever before. Like, sobriety is a huge movement and it's something that I could so get behind. So I'm not sober. I'm not 100% sober. However, I would say I'm sober curious and I spend 95% of my life sober. I rarely drink. I drink a couple of times a year and I haven't got drunk in over a year. No, that's not true. The last time I got drunk was July last year when I was on holiday. Alcohol is not a huge part of my life. My parents their social lives are very heavily influenced by alcohol, and I think that's a generational thing because all of their friends are the same. Mine isn't. So a lot of my teenage years I spent drinking. I'm going to be very, very honest now. The first time I got drunk was 14. I might have even been 13. I was 13, 14. It was just such a huge part of my friendship group, was going to parties and getting really, really blackout drunk and embarrassing yourselves. And I remember the first time I felt like I was really drunk, I completely panicked. I didn't like it. And if I'm honest, there's been very few times I've actually enjoyed being drunk. When I went to uni, my social life was in first year very difficult because of COVID. However, again, because of the drinking culture, we spent most of our time drunk. We'd have a party like every week and I would again get blackout. I would never just have 1 or 2 drinks in a social environment. I now have just 1 or 2 drinks and I'm fine. Like, I don't have that need to get blackout. But if I was going out or I knew that there was like a party, I couldn't not get blackout. For me, there was what's the point of me drinking if I'm not getting blackout? And I don't remember chunks of the night and I'm doing stupid things, which I personally don't think is a healthy relationship to have with alcohol. Most of the time I was drinking not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I had to. And I almost trained myself to like alcohol. I trained myself to like the feeling of being drunk through my teens. And it's because I felt like I had to, I guess. I don't think I realised at the time it was something I was being pressured into, because none of my friends are pressuring me into it. They weren't like shoving alcohol down my throats. But I think because of the culture of our friendship group and also the culture of the UK, I felt like I had to enjoy being drunk and I had to enjoy drinking, when actually it makes me feel quite out of control. The only way I can cope with that feeling of out of control is becoming even more drunk. So that's what I did. And because I have such a small circle now and I don't really have a social life, which we are going to get onto, I don't need to drink because I'm never in an environment where I do drink. It's like next week, my best friends come around and we're having like a Galentine sleepover. So we will probably have drink then and we'll probably get drunk. But because I'm comfortable in that environment, I feel safe in that environment, I won't feel the need to get blackout. However, if we were going to a club, I would be down in shots before we went because I felt unsafe and I knew the only way I could cope with that environment is if I got blackout. I hate the feeling after drinking. Nobody likes being hungover, but my anxiety is horrendous. And that's the other thing. When I'm actually drunk, I don't know if I'm going to be happy or if I'm going to be having a panic attack. I can't predict it. So I would still do it to myself. So now I just don't drink. I will have the odd one. If on Christmas I might have 1 or 2. I'll let myself feel a little bit tipsy at dinner. Like I said, if me and Kira do anything, I might get drunk, but I don't get blackout anymore. I don't like the idea that there are so many nights where I have black patches and I don't know what happened or where I was or what I was doing. I think that's terrifying. And I don't like that that's normalised, because it is, unfortunately. Like, it's only now that I don't really drink anymore, I look back and I realise how actually unhealthy my relationship with alcohol was. And not in a sense of I needed to be drunk, in the sense of when I did drink it was unhealthy. I didn't have like an urge to need alcohol. It wasn't like an addiction, but my relationship with alcohol when I do have it was so unhealthy. I think I've now got to a place with it where I don't feel like I need it, but it's because I'm never in environments where I feel like I need it, if that makes sense. The next one of lifestyle is listening to music and consuming media. So by listening to music, I mean, like, I love music. I love how music makes me feel. However, I never really allowed myself to listen to it, which sounds weird. I know it does. But you know, some people, they will come home or they'll be cooking or whatever and they'll have music on. That's their go-to. Even though I know that that's the thing that makes me feel happiest, that's the thing that makes me feel better, that's the thing that makes me feel like a high vibe, I would still put on something from YouTube or Real Housewives or Keeping Up with the Kardashians or a series I don't really care about, and I would just have that on in the background so I could just zone out and get out of my thoughts. Music makes me feel. It makes me feel happy, it makes me feel sad, it makes me feel good, it makes me feel sexy, it makes me feel angry. Music has a really big impact on my mood. So does what the media I consume, but in a different way. And the sort of media that I would be consuming instead of listening to music was kind of media that made me feel numb. I didn't really feel anything to, so I could just put it on so I could just like completely switch off my brain, which is okay. But I was doing this all of the time, 24/7. And I've really noticed that in the last month or so, I'm making a more conscious effort to put music on and to listen to music. Like on my walks with Albie, I'll spend half the time listening to a podcast, but then the other half of the time I'll be listening to music, and it makes me feel so good. And it's something that I didn't allow myself to do before. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's that thing of being kind to myself. Yeah, so I'm doing that more, and I'm finding that's really making me feel good and feminine and just nice. Like, it's making me feel good. I'm dancing to it while I'm cooking, and I just feel uber safe in that environment and happy and content. And the media that I'm consuming is also changed a lot. I've very much limited my social media use. I don't scroll really that much at all. Instead, I read. I've started reading again. That's something that's really supporting this lifestyle change for me, because it's allowing me to completely switch off and engage and be consumed by a completely different world and something else. And it's also stopping me from doom scrolling. The only time I'm ever on social media is if I'm posting or editing, and then I have kind of now managed to construct my For You page to content that makes me feel safe and comfortable and warm and happy and not jealous and bitter, and stops media that makes me compare and critique myself and feel negative. Like, social media is fine, but in small doses. And I think even everyone, including myself, really myself, has become too complacent with how much social media we consume. So yeah, my social media is very selective now, and you can mute people, block people, put timers on things, put blocks on your phone to only allow yourself to look at things for so many amount of time. There are so many things we can do that help protect us from that. And also the news. I don't look at the news at all anymore. I don't want to know. I try to stay educated on important issues, but me consuming that negativity all of the time, it doesn't benefit anyone. Delete the news apps. Stop looking at it. Be informed on the big issues that are going on in the world, yes. But being informed and being consumed by are completely different things. It's not good for our brains. I was watching a podcast and it was basically saying that we're all experiencing secondhand PTSD from the news, from things that we're seeing on social media, because they're so horrific. And yes, it's important that we're aware, because a lot of the things going on in the world are barbaric and we should be aware of what's going on. We should be educated. But seeing things that are so graphic, our brains cannot cope with that constantly as well. It's not good for us. We need to protect our peace. All of that has helped me to live more presently. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Protecting your peace is about living for yourself and living presently in the moment. And by walking around and feeling nature, I'm living presently. By not drinking, I'm living presently. When I'm not consuming social media doom scrolling and instead I'm reading, I'm living presently. When I'm not scrolling on my phone but I'm actually engaging in a conversation with a stranger, I'm living presently. All of those things are ways in which we can protect our peace and live more presently, live more softer, live to support ourselves. And they have all helped me find spirituality, meditation, tarot cards, crystals. Again, all things that I was so embarrassed to love that I'm now so comfortable with. And spirituality and the soft girl lifestyle are kind of two separate things for me. I find that they tie together for me personally, but they're not going to tie together for everyone, because spirituality is everyone's own individual journey, and that in itself is a whole podcast subject. And I do want to say, it's not easy. Like, I've sat here and spoke to you about things that you can do or things that I've done, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. It's not. It's really difficult, and at first it will be harder than the life you're living now, and it won't feel worth it, and it will feel like hell. And this is dependent obviously on your environment and where your life is at now. If you're surrounded by lots and lots of people and you're going out drinking a couple of times a week and you're not looking after yourself and you don't love yourself, this is going to be a massive shift. It's going to be a huge shift for you. And the only thing you can do is break it all down into tiny little steps and take baby steps. Be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to take as little steps as you need. Take little shuffles if that's easier. Chip away like I have. To me, to get to this happy place, it has taken me 4 years, millions of arguments, lots of mistakes, 2 years worth of a complete mental breakdown, a year's worth of therapy, and yet I made it through. It's not easy. I'm not going to say that's going to happen to you. It probably won't. But it takes time. And I've still got a long way to go, but I'm getting there. And each day as well, I'm adding my own baby steps on, because growth is about progress. It's not about instantaneous change. So like, I already had a very small circle after university, so the last kind of couple of months of like most noticeable change, I already had my small circle. I already didn't really drink. There were lots of things I was already doing that were kind of, you could argue, soft girl, so that makes it easier for me. It did get a lot worse before it got good. Like I said, like, it wasn't easy. However, you need to like kind of weather the storm, because it does get so much better. And even now, it's not amazing. I think I've protected my peace too much. I have completely isolated myself, and I do it so easily. So I now don't really have much of a social life, and that does bother me. Like, I want to be able to have a social life. I want to have a social life that supports my overall goals and my overall lifestyle, but it doesn't mean that I don't want a social life. I do, and I don't have one because of how much I protected my peace. So it is easy to go too far. You can go too far one way. I definitely have done, I think, and I do get lonely. But when I remind myself of what it was like for me in a massive friendship group, or when I was surrounded by people that didn't serve me and I didn't serve them, and it was a very negative space. I'm grateful to be where I am now. And yeah, I can get lonely, but it doesn't mean that I'm not happy and I'm not content. I am. I'm all of those things, and the loneliness is fleeting compared to how I'm feeling generally day to day now. Others will have an opinion. Unfortunately, they will. You just need to learn to block it out. And you do this by facing their opinion and ignoring it. I have no advice for you other than just ignoring and knowing that you are working towards your best self and you are doing what's best for you. And as long as you know that, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, but they will have an opinion, and you need to be prepared for everyone to have an opinion, because unfortunately they do. It will take, even though it's a soft girl lifestyle, it takes a surprising amount of discipline and motivation to live this lifestyle, because you are implementing lots and lots of new habits into your life that will become just your normal everyday routine. But at first they're not. At first you're not going to want to be washing your face when you're in bed. You're going to be in bed and you're going to be like, I don't want to get up and wash my face right now, but you do. And you're not going to want to be walking around in nature, and you'd rather do the workout that you know burns the most calories because that's what society has told you is best for you, than the yoga. And you find the yoga boring at first, but actually you learn that the more you do it, the more you lose yourself in it. At first, it's hard and they're not habits yet. So you're doing these things in your life and you're not really seeing a benefit from them, or you're not really motivated to do them because it's easier to stay in your comfort zone. It's easier to stay scrolling on social media than it is to pick up a book. It's not going to happen overnight, and you need to be accepting of that. And you need to be accepting of the fact that you need to be disciplined to get all of these things in action in order to live the lifestyle you want to be living. You are completely shifting your reality. Just remember that. And that's amazing and it's so exciting, but it's not going to be instantaneous. And you need to be kind to yourself, and you need to be okay with the fact that you might make mistakes or you might not be able to do it all at once. That's okay. To just be easy on yourself. That's the whole thing with the soft girl lifestyle, is do what makes you happy. Do what makes you feel good. Do what supports you the most. Do what makes you feel the most safest and the most content. Remind yourself of who you want to be and what you want your life to look like, and it will fall into place. It will. So just remember, it's going to look different for everyone, and it's okay if yours looks completely different to somebody else's. The thing that you can do to best support you living the soft girl lifestyle is prioritize yourself, and just get clear on what prioritizing yourself looks like for you, and the rest will follow. The soft girl lifestyle has completely changed how I'm feeling. I'm happy and content for the first time in a really long time, and I've been able to stay happy and content through severe illness and lots of difficult life changes. I've continued to keep this contentness, and it doesn't mean that I'm always happy and I'm never sad and I'm never angry, but I always am at a level of contentment, which is beautiful. And it's something that over a year ago, if you told me I'd be content, I'd have laughed in your face. I was anxious, I was sad, I was angry, I was depressed. I was none of the things I am now. I'm actually even more motivated to be productive. For me, the soft girl lifestyle isn't about not working hard, but by embodying this lifestyle, I'm able to work harder than I ever have done. I'm able to put more time and effort into things than I ever have done. And that in itself, I think, shows that you can be both hardworking and soft. And by being one, you can be the other even better. They complement each other so well. I've never been more excited for my future. And the only thing that I think I could do now to improve my life is unprotecting my peace slightly. I'm slowly going to start rebuilding my social life. But again, I'm going to take baby steps. It's going to take time. But I'm going to do it in a way that isn't what I think society wants from me. It's what I want from me and what I want from my life and what I want those friendships to look like, because they're not going to look the same as when I was 16 forcing myself to get drunk because I cared about my male validation. That's not what my life and my friendships are going to look like now, and that's okay, and that's really exciting. And yeah, I'm just so excited for my future. I go to bed every night excited for the morning, excited for my morning routine, excited to start the day and to do the little things in that day that help me feel amazing. I've never had that before. And I think the thing that's given that to me the most is how much I'm doing for myself now. I've never done ever this much for myself. And that is the embodiment of being a soft girl. It's being okay with loving myself and being okay with exploring my femininity and loving that about myself and loving being kind to myself. It's amazing. That is the soft girl lifestyle. I hope that you could understand what I was saying. I think the soft girl lifestyle, it's going to look different for everyone. And I think, I'm kind of using it as a blanket phrase of basically just how to be kind to yourself, because that is, to me, what I've seen the soft girl lifestyle promoting. I know there's like lots of like material things that come with it because it's a trend, and that always happens with TikTok and stuff like that. But overall, it is just women being kind to themselves and living gently. And I think that's amazing that that's a trend. And yeah. So let's go through my 3 gratitudes for today. So I am grateful that Albie has been so well behaved when we're filming. I am grateful for my plants because they're so healthy at the minute. I cannot tell you, I changed their soil the other day because I had gnats everywhere. Their soil brought in flies, and there was flies all over my room. It was grim. But they've been changed and they're like thriving. They've never looked healthier. And I'm also grateful that I feel like I've got all the points across that I wanted to get across, because that's so important. My hope for the future is my lunch is good. I don't know what I'm having for lunch, but I'm hungry, so I'm going to go and have some lunch now, and my hope is that I enjoy it. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Make sure, like I said earlier, to like, subscribe, check out all my socials. They're all down below. And let me know if you're going to start the soft girl lifestyle or what you think of it, because you don't have to like it. You might hate it. See you next week.